Welcome to For the Record. I'm Jeff Briggs. The hottest rock and roll band in Boston? Well, maybe not yet, but close. Tonight, Lava Beat is joining us. Hell of a rock and roll band. They think they're hot. We'll be back with them right after this. And welcome to For the Record. I want to thank you all for coming down tonight. Sort of a late night trip to Braintree, and kind of hard to find it, but we found it. We're here.
It took us 3 days, but we made it.
Well, to start this off, we'll introduce the band in a second, but our band member, John Hawks, who's on the far end here, is a friend of mine. And of course, he is the world's best navigator. So they left Boston at 2 o'clock this afternoon. It's now 20 minutes of 8, and they just got here.
I saw his sign 19 miles away.
That's right. So we're only 19 miles. Elizabeth Borden is the leader of this incredibly motley crew. Why is she the leader? As I said, she is.
I am the leader.
That's right.
I'm the leader.
Grievance.
And time out.
Where's
Liz,
my
first of
lawyer?
all. Okay. First of all, I want everybody to know who everyone is here. Liz is the first one on my left. Yeah, Liz is speaking at the moment, so we can find out who Liz is. Liz, best known for the last few years for Lizzie Borden and the Axes, a rock band that was playing quite well and doing quite well for a long time. And now you've got the rest of these people with you. Nice to have you here. Steve Fulton to your immediate left, and we'll let Cindy get after that. Jay Berlin on our drums there. Rita Leveka and John Hawks. And the reason I say Rita quickly is because Rita's got a lot to say in this show, and I figure if I say your name too much, then you're just going to get mad at me and just let me have it. So I don't want to say it too much.
Who prepped this guy?
And we can thank John for all the information that I have written on this piece of paper right here.
Oh, boy.
You are a 60s and 70s oriented band, rock and roll, and you've done most recently a remake of a song that not many of us perhaps would consider, you know, really up and happening, but you've done a heck of a job with it. I've heard it. Tell me what the song is and tell me what you've done with it.
Green Tambourine.
The Lemon Pipers.
But we're 60s and 70s oriented band, but it's also very up-to-date sound that we have. So it'd be a 90s sound with a 60s, 70s flair to it.
Mm-hmm.
And we did a remake of Green Tambourine, originally done by the Lemon Pipers. But it also...
I think I heard
He
that.
said that, yes. But
Don't you hate it when
it doesn't
I cut in?
exactly sound like the original one.
No, it doesn't.
No.
No.
But what, before we get to it, and we'll get to the video in just a second, what drew you to the song? Who said, gee, you know, this is a cool tune, we should cover this? Who said that and how did it get to you?
Well, I said it.
Okay.
I said it. But I've always,
I'm leaving.
I've said it.
It's yours to be.
But no, I've always listened to that music, and I've always enjoyed it. And you've got to kind of appreciate songs from the 70s, don't you? I mean,
Of course.
the Bee Gees and
The Bee
all the
Gees,
good
you know, anything
Staying
John
Alive
Travolta
and
was in, sure.
I mean,
Franco
the
family.
DeFranco family,
David
Partridge
Soul.
Family.
Hotel collection.
Okay. Tell me how you got the band together, and we'll go to that video, so we'll give them a little chance and control.
Rita
Get at that.
was in Lizzie Borden and the Axes
Yeah?
also, the guitar player and I. And what happened is we had this idea to do this band, and we decided to play out. We did the music, and then we decided that we needed to play out, so we needed band members. Steve has been with us, however, for years. Steve worked with Lizzie Borden and the Axes in Matahari. He was our road crew.
I was the
road crew.
The road crew.
The one-man road crew. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if you go to see Lava Beat, do not argue with Steve. A one-man road crew is a bad thing.
One-man road crew.
Jay, how'd you get involved?
I saw an ad in the Boston Phoenix.
Ooh, plug.
Plugola, here we go.
And actually, I checked out quite a few different
Bands.
auditions that I did, and I saw the most potential with this particular band, and it seems to be definitely heading in the right direction, and things seem to be going, you know, better than they would have if I'd taken any of the other auditions that I did. So I'm very happy.
We charmed him to death.
You charmed him to death.
Plus, it was the two good-looking ladies, and Steve's hairstyle really got to me also.
It would to me as well, perhaps in a different way. I don't know what that meant. I have
Need a
no
Brillo
idea.
pad? No.
Now,
You talk later about it.
Okay, maybe you tell me how I could do that to my...
Not a problem.
Okay. And you and Liz have been playing together for a while.
Right, for a long time.
Couple years.
Couple of years. How long have you been playing guitar?
Guitar.
Professional. I'll just keep qualifying the question until I get to something that sounds like
Qualified professional.
Yeah.
Does that mean getting paid to play
No, I
guitar?
just qualify
Never.
the questions as a way.
I
Yeah.
think as Lizzie Borden, we were around for, what, 5, 6 years,
Yeah.
and that was pretty much the start of it. So this band's fairly new. And Liz and I pretty much had the idea that, you know, when we left that, you know, like, you know, sometimes when you work on a project, there's always a thing you just always want to do, and finally we said, you know, look, we're going to do this. And a lot of people thought we were crazy because there were a lot of other musicians. Like he said, we put an ad in the Phoenix. Well, we had a pretty good reputation at that point and a lot of connections. And people said, you don't have to do that. You know, use so-and-so, do it. And we said, look, there's a lot of, it's not just a matter of musical ability. It's a matter of really wanting it and taking, you know, that whole spectrum. And we said, we're going to put the ad in the Phoenix and we're going to look at all the options. And I think
Well,
that's...
would you have known Jay or John?
No, I wouldn't have. And I think that was the big thing.
If you had to do it over again, would you know Jay or John?
No, I wouldn't have. But for some reason,
His mother, maybe.
His mother,
Mrs. Hawks is.
she's a wonderful woman.
Oh, no, I mean,
Yeah. But
she's
John,
very nice.
so
handsome boy. No,
Yeah, he-
but it clicked, and that's I think what happens is that after. I mean, there were a lot of very, very good, talented people that came in, and some were our friends, and a lot weren't. And we really sat down and said, look, you know, what is going to make this really work? Because I didn't want to go the route of Lizzie Borden and do it for 5 more years and still find myself at a certain place. And in 2 months, going on 3 months since this band has been professionally together, I think we've accomplished a lot more in 5 years than Lizzie Borden did, and we did a lot then. So it's really starting to kick in now.
of course, John, you answered that ad as well, and
Yep.
I remember you saying, "Geez, I got this really neat tape." And
Yep.
John uses words like "cool" and "neat" a lot. Usually "cool." They sound really cool. You can do a lot of cool things. You played a cassette for me of
Even before I came down.
Right.
For the audition, yeah. I received the cassette. I went to North Carolina and like listened to it on the plane, and that's all I listened to on the whole week trip that I was. And then I come back, played it. And
Not much going on in North Carolina.
No, there wasn't.
If you had our tape on.
I see.
Yeah, but it was cool. Same thing. It clicked. And coming down, talking to Liz on the phone for a while, and then coming down, it
I
felt.
didn't scare him off.
It didn't scare me off.
It would be hard to see how you could do that. Actually.
Well, she was in shorts and stuff that day, and when I came down, I was like, "Oh, what the hell is that?"
Well, before the fists start flying, why don't we take a look at "Green Tambourine" by Lava Bee.
Drop your silver in my tambourine. Help a poor girl build a pretty dream. Give me pennies, I'll take anything.
How long did it take to do that? That was quite an involved, from you know, the various parts, a pretty involved video. How long did it take to put that video together?
A day.
A day.
Yeah. Well, a day,
For a long
day of
day.
shooting.
Day of us. And then
The
I think
editing
he did
took-
about 100 hours, he said?
Of editing?
Yeah. I think he said like 100
100
hours
hours,
to
probably.
go through like that.
I
That's-
mean,
go ahead.
you know what it's like to be in, you know, in cable and the process that happens, but the majority of people don't. You know, you're playing that one 4-minute song for 9 hours over
9.5
and
hours,
over
actually. It was
and
9
over.
hours and 43 minutes.
And
How many seconds, Steve? We seem to, are you sure
It's
you're
a
not
lot.
the drummer
It was
here?
in between 15 to 20 seconds.
yeah, so I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah, and it's hard to keep the your attitude fresh for 9
I'll
hours.
put it this way: there's one part in the video where, at the very end, as you noticed, you know, I'm waving. That was not part of, you know, it's supposed to be the end of the video. That was a take where I was just so tired and so
You were
hot
just
that
going bye-bye.
I couldn't even do it. We cut, that was like cut in half, and it was at one point I was just like, cut, see us, stop the camera, let's do it again, because I was just beat. And then they just, you know, in editing, they just splice it in as the ending. But it was really, it was draining.
The old tambourine toss,
Yeah.
which we practiced.
How many
for
times?
You know
months.
what times it took me to catch
Practiced
that
for
tambourine?
months in the studio, you know, no problem. Throw it anywhere, caught it in my teeth, catch it. First they said action.
Where is it? It's on the floor.
Try that again. Action.
There actually are a number of videos that have done that. They have the Christmas reels for a lot of bands that, you know, they're doing these, you know, reasonably complicated moves, and those come out all right. They'll do something simple like go to lean on a post that isn't really a post. You'll see somebody just tumbling off into the distance. Have we done that yet?
No, I didn't do that.
Oh,
Off stage.
Off
Yeah,
stages.
but not in a video. Yeah.
Just
I mean,
in front
there,
of hundreds
I mean,
of
there were a
thousands.
lot of costume changes in that video too.
Yeah.
If you really watch it, Liz and I were like zzz, running back, you know, zip, and there's people there, you know, you're trying to get change, running back, and everything.
Were you guys trying to do the same moves every time the camera rolled?
No.
Or you just
We're
just
lucky we
going
walk
crazy?
right.
well, Janet Jackson flew in,
Oh, here we go. This is known as the great name drop.
No.
and you know, we talked to her for a while, and you know,
She laughed at us.
she laughed a while, and then you know, we sort of had to. It was weird. We had to invent some new ones since Paula had taken our
All the steps.
Paula had taken our
All
early
your
ones.
steps.
Yeah, all of them. So.
So we were left with just what we
What
did
we
in the
did.
video.
This
because
is
it was
basically
really
getting to
tough.
be hip waiter time in the studio.
Actually, believe it or not, part of this is true. They actually brought in the same people that did the choreography for Liz and I at one point that did Janet Jackson. And
No, they did.
let me tell you,
did.
For
I
Lizzie
hope they
Borden,
took
yeah.
one hell of a tax write-off on that one, because it just did not.
Didn't
They
happen,
lost
huh?
a lot of money on that, boy.
It was very beautiful, especially the opening moves when they all came out with their backs, and
Yeah.
I being the road crew on the side watching this beautifully hours and time and money spent, and here was these smooth moves, and Rita turned around and bash that guitar going right off the singer's head. It was just like, oh, there was this poetry
Yeah,
in motion.
And they just sort of ran back to LA, and that was the end of that. So.
Liz, now, did these guys routinely take over the conversation in the practice room and when you guys were rehearsing and going out on the road? Did they just totally take everything away and
Oh, no, I'm
and
very
leave you
just turn
stunned, or
up.
I'm very quiet tonight.
you just in a quiet mood tonight?
We just
It's been a rough
basically
day all around, I think.
It really has, hasn't it?
turn up very loud.
Yes.
Normally, we're like 5 women in a kitchen, you know, it's like da-da-da-da-da-da.
5
They're worse than
women
us.
in the kitchen. Jay, you seem to be the quiet one out of the group. I'll ask you a
At the
couple of
moment, at the
questions here while we
moment,
can at the moment. How long have you been playing drums, man?
Here it comes.
Oh no.
There it is.
I've been playing for, I'd say about 20 years.
20 years.
20.
Since he was 6 years
He was
old.
6, you can play right.
I started when I was very young.
Who did you play with before you came to Lava Beat? Besides, like, all the kids on the block?
Well, I did some work for a band called Boston. I mean, I had a chance of auditioning for Boston, I should say. I used to play for Voyage.
Yeah, I could have played for the Patriots, too. It's not going to happen.
Shall we, Jay? Shall we set him up? There's the old. Who did you almost play for, Jay?
I almost played for Boston.
All right, now Jay, family. Jay,
Who are you related
who
to?
are you related to, Jay?
Every time.
Sorry, but.
That actually wasn't a question.
Who's my cousin? I have a
Who's your
famous cousin. Actually, my third cousin, this is the truth, was, may he rest in peace, the late, great Irving Berlin.
Who left Jay absolutely no money.
Left me nothing.
No publishing rights,
Well, you know,
no copywriting.
it's very important when you're molding your personality in your mid-20s not to have somebody just hand things to you in this sappy. So I can understand why he didn't want to leave it to you, because he felt that maybe
That
you
I would
should build
appreciate
yourself.
it
You'd
that
appreciate
much
what you're bringing
more
in
when I
We
finally
appreciate
get
you
it.
less for not having having all the money, Jay, but, you know.
I definitely
I think that was a cut. So John, what's happened now?
Next.
Nice. We'll just walk right away from that. What's happened now that you've entered the band? You told me before, this will get him in a little bit of trouble, I hope, that you had a lot of ideas you wanted to bring into the tape that you heard.
Yeah,
What did you bring in?
I heard from the tape, and after coming down for the audition, there's slightly different sounds. There's a lot more aggressive. I think the tape tends to be more. It's a little bit more polished. We have a little bit more of an edge live, and I think we all collaborate real well in terms of rehearsal and playing, and the ideas just kind of bounce off of everybody, and the parts are just, I think, tight and cool. They had some good stuff. There's that word again.
There's a word again.
It's cool.
Neat.
I'm ready for like the Batman
Nifty.
things. Kazoom!
Kazoom.
That was a
Nifty
really
Kazoom.
He's a nifty keyboard
But
player.
but it's
And
you know,
handsome.
I think it works. I think it's something that you know, watch if you come and see us and watch us, that there's
I'm
something
waiting
very
for those free
special there.
tickets, Johnny.
They're-
Waiting for all those guest
they're-
passes that you keep telling me you're going to get.
no way, pay.
No,
Well, you
pay.
guys just, I guess I'll address this to you. Liz, you just opened for Till Tuesday recently, which in one sense has to be very exciting because they were a headline act for a long time, and Amy Mann and company has had its ups and downs, and bound to be some difficulties, especially where Amy said, "Gee, here's another woman's band, and I'm trying to be the headline here." But you were very well received.
Yeah, the audience really seemed to like our music, which was nice. I mean, it's hard being a new band and going out there and playing songs that people haven't heard, and to hold them, and we held them for the show.
John tells me that when you got out, people were basically clawing at you.
Yeah, I tried to go to my parents, and after we finished, we got changed and went to go get my parents, and got out there, and it was like, hey, there's a keyboard player, come over here, hey, and it's like, Jesus Christ.
That's never happened to me. I don't know what it is.
We'll do it after we finish here.
Okay, well, maybe,
But,
maybe next time I play the Memory Lounge, that'll happen. No, but it had to be, you were at the Paradise. I mean, that's still a respected club in town. That's a good-sized club.
And it was sold out. And I think, what you see on the video is very visual, and that's what the band is. And I don't think there's a lot of that happening in Boston right now. I mean, I don't consider myself a Boston band, and that was primarily hard to find the right musicians because the music is so high energy, but it's sort of it's funk, it's dance, and there's not a lot of bands that we can play with here. So we tend to pick the shows that that maybe we can match better, and I think that's why is that when we came out, the live energy is just so phenomenal that I think it took people by surprise, to see that kind of an act playing, at the Paradise. So
Yeah, like these two, they get going, like they get wound up too tight, and then just.
John, I'm sure you're the modicum of calm on the stage.
Well, I'm chained to my keyboards. I really can't go that far, and so
I saw you trying to drag them. Cutting down on my stage space. I swear they weren't over there.
It's really hard to go up and down stairs when you're chained to your keyboard, too.
But yeah.
Well, has that happened to you guys before, where the crowd has just gone crazy and I want to touch somebody.
Rita and I went through a lot of that, and Lizzie Borden, the Actors, I'm not a hurry.
Especially, I think, part of it maybe was being, girls and that it's, and being playing, there's not a lot of people that, Liz plays bass and I play guitar, and we're very good at what we do, and you don't see that. You don't see girls doing that, and you don't see it as being presented that kind of way. So there is this aura that sort of happens there. And sometimes it can get out of hand.
And I suppose, too, with images like Lita Ford going across every young rock and roll drooler's brain, they just immediately feel that anybody with any talent is also someone that they can just kind of toss around.
Yeah, well, that's why there's different, I feel what I do is so natural that I don't know any other way. Yet I'm not as hard as Lita Ford is. Lita Ford comes out, and I think she blocks herself in a certain area, and I don't. I tend to cross, and part of that's the music, because we'll do a song that's almost, say, on the verge of a living color, hard and rough and bam, and the next song is a cross between, the funkness of Prince, but, so the image is the same, but it changes sometimes with the tonality of the music.
Yeah.
He's
So
more a texture player than most other guitar players.
yeah, it's different.
Like it's feels and emotions and just spatial.
You mean we don't have to hear Eddie Van Halen licks for the rest of our
it's
lives?
not
There's
like
actually
that at
somebody who
all.
can play again?
No.
She has her own sound, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how about you?
I have my own sound.
It's a quiet
I make it up.
It's a
as
quiet
I,
sound
I make it
tonight.
up as I go along.
I want to thank you folks for coming down and putting up with all this tonight.
Well, thanks a
I really
lot.
enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Very much.
Waiting for that autographed album, guys.
Next week.
Soon.
Got it.
Plugola. And now, you may have some things happening, you may not. We don't talk about, some good things may be happening in Lava Beat, but of course, the music biz, you never talk about that, so we don't know, right?
No,
I'll
we
tell you what, if something happens, we'll come
Mood
back.
ring changed.
Mood ring changed.
Uh-oh.
Which means your fingers
What
warming
color
up.
I'm blue and green.
Oh.
Oh, you're the
I'm
same
blue.
almost.
And I'm getting rapidly ill. I'm Jeff Reach. This was For the Record Lava Beat. Catch them in Boston anytime. Look in the Phoenix and look in all the other local papers. You'll enjoy the show. Good night.